Welcome back to The Five. After being held by Hamas for 5 years, Israeli soldier Gilad Shalit is back home in exchange for his return, an unprecedented prisoner swap. Israel agreeing to release more than 1,000 Palestinians. Angela, I'm going to go to you first. Two sets of releases, half now, half later. But again, Israel willing to, and they've done this before, but they're willing to deal with terrorist groups. Good idea or bad idea?
I don't think it's a good idea. You're right. They've done this in the past, so the precedent is always there. Because if you're Hamas and you know there's more prisoners that need to be released, you're saying, okay, well, I'm going to go out and I'm going to kidnap more Israelis so that I can do this hostage bartering type situation. In the end, it might be good right now, short term, to get this soldier back. I mean, the whole country, it's mandatory to join the army in Israel, so a lot of parents are concerned, what if this were my boy? But in the end, I don't think this is a good move because Hamas is a terrorist organization, and Israel said, we are not going to negotiate with those who have blood on their hands. These prisoners were responsible for killing Israelis, and a lot of them go back to killing Israelis once they're released, so not a good plan.
I'm torn because it's a human being, it's a soldier, and you want to do everything you can to get him back, and it just shows that the Israelis bend over backwards to do what they can for their people. But it does remind me of October 1989 when the Dallas Cowboys traded Herschel Walker for, was it 8 draft picks and 5 players? It was like the most lopsided trade I'd ever seen. Didn't work out.
Did any of them return to terror?
No. Actually,
60% of the prisoners who this is not unusual, not just of the Palestinians, but across the globe when it comes to the war on terror. In this case, it's 60% do return to the battlefield and they're recaptured again. But whereas I think it's okay, where we can look at this and say, gosh, they shouldn't have negotiated. 80% of the Israeli people approve of this deal, and Gilad Shalit has been through hell. In 2006, that war was fought largely over him and his capture. So I think that if Netanyahu, who's not shy at all about fighting terrorists and standing up for himself and his country, if 80% of the people in Israel agree with it, then I think it was the right thing to do.
Before we go, before his release, Mr. Shalit was required to do an interview for Palestinian television. Take a look. We're going to roll some video of that. Do we have a sound of this, guys? Take a listen to this.
Yes, it was long years. I was thinking I'm going to stay for many more years.
What have you missed most while in captivity?
I miss my family, miss my friends. I want to meet people and talk to them, to tell them about my life in captivity. I have a lot to tell.
Okay, so while we talk about this, Juan, one of the conditions for his release is that interview, but there are some pictures that we found. Now, the Palestinians are saying this is not true, but apparently there were some people, some guards who were hanging. Look at that. That's him doing the exact same interview. Why would you negotiate, if you're Israel, why would you negotiate with these people?
Let me just say something. This whole situation is untenable. This is from the United States point of view. You know what? I understand the politics of it for Netanyahu. I agree with Greg. It's a human being. If it was my child, I want my kid back. I understand. But this is just a bad situation. And if anything, isn't this time for Israel and the Palestinians to finally do something? I mean, basically, the Palestinians and the Hamas have said they're going to engage in more kidnapping so they get more Israelis, so they get more prisoners. This is like, and you don't see any give from the Israelis. And whenever the United States and the Obama administration say, let's do something. No. You're missing the point. I'm saying give in terms of let's negotiate. Let's do a deal.
You mean
no,
as far as
peace? Netanyahu said he would.
But let's talk about this. Hold on, there's an important point.
He said he would in front of the UN.
Palestinians are asking for the UN to recognize their countries as a state. Does this help or hurt that process?
Well, it hurts if it hurts them. It might help them with some of their neighbors. It doesn't help on them with the United States, who has been the driving force of trying to get them to come together and to have some sort of peace deal. I'm curious about the timing of this, though, because it's right before the Palestinians tried that maneuver at the UN. Just a couple of months ago, we had a little bit of a well, it's 4 months ago, last spring, between Netanyahu and President Obama. Remember that little deal? So it seems to me that the timing, we'll look back on this maybe in 30 days or 60 days and say, maybe that was the beginning of some sort of negotiation.
That's
And there's a big, a lot of this is PR. If you talk to Middle East experts, a lot of it's PR. The Israelis are losing the PR award to the Palestinians, and they say that they're going to use this maneuver to say that a lot of the prisoners released, some of them were Israelis, some of them were. We represent all different kinds of ethnicities, so we really are the ones that are on the right side of this issue, which isn't true.
We got to leave it there. Sorry, but coming up, Susan Sarandon under fire tonight, and rightfully so, I might add, for her very offensive reference to Pope Benedict. We'll have her comments next on The Five.